Glad you could join us. Let's take you live to the Electoral Commission, where President Akufo-Addo has just filed his nomination forms for the 2020 elections. My colleague, Parker Wilson, joins me with more. Now, Parker, tell us about the atmosphere at the Electoral Commission headquarters today. Right, Parker, can you hear me?
Yeah, Darren, I can hear you.
Great. It sounds very busy at the EC headquarters. Describe for us the atmosphere there.
Right, so then currently I'm in front of the EC headquarters where a number of NPP supporters have gathered here. In fact, they came here this morning just to support the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, to file his nomination for this year's election. And indeed, the president has successfully done that. But then let me just say that what the president did was only to submit the nomination forms, but the Electoral Commission will now go through the forms to validate, to ensure that indeed whatever information that is contained in the forms are valid, and that is now ready to contest as a presidential candidate for the NPP in this year's election. So for now, it is just about receiving the forms. Later, the EC will tell us whether the president has qualified to contest or not. So that is what has happened here this morning. And when the president came this morning, he mentioned to the Electoral Commission that he wants to be a legitimate president. In fact, he tasked the chairperson of the commission, Madam Jane Mensah, to ensure that this election is conducted in a transparent, fair, and credible manner. He doesn't want to be the president of a result that is cooked. And so he urged the chairperson and the staff of the Electoral Commission to put in their best leg as far as this election is concerned, so that when the results are declared on December 7, nobody can challenge it, and he would again win the mandate of the people in a more legitimate manner. So that has been the charge to the Electoral Commission this morning.
Was there any response from the Electoral Commission? Well,
the Electoral Commission made it clear to the president and, of course, the media and the people who had gathered this morning that they will be professional, they will be transparent, there will be a fair referee, and ensure that they give equal platform to all the parties involved in this election. And so, just as he assured us in weeks gone by, he's given the assurance again that this election will be conducted in a credible manner. And then let me say that the president was accompanied by the vice president, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, chairman of the party, Freddie Blay, general secretary of the party, John Boedu, national organizer, and some other senior colleagues, including the chief of staff, who was also present this morning.
Has any other candidates submitted their forms?
Now, just before the president came, the 2016 independent presidential candidate, Jacob Osei-Yeboah, came in to file nomination forms. Now, interestingly, Daniel, Jacob Osei-Yeboah contested as independent candidate for the 2012 election and subsequently the 2016 election. So the media, all of us thought that he was filing to contest for this year's election as an independent candidate. Now, right after the filing of his nomination, we interviewed him, and he told us that he came to file a nomination on behalf of Alfred Kwame Walker, an independent presidential candidate, and that he, Jacob Osei-Yeboah, would now be running mate to the independent presidential candidate, Alfred Kwame Yeboah. So, to our viewers, for Jacob Osei-Yeboah in this year's election, will partner Alfred Kwame Walker, who is an independent presidential candidate in the 2020 election.
Do we know anything more about this Alfred Kwame Walker?
In fact, little information has been given, but what we know is that he's a businessman. In fact, we've made contact to him, and we are expecting that he gives us an interview in the shortest possible time so that we profile his identity and get to know who this new candidate is.
Right. Parker Wilson, thank you very much for those updates. Let's go to Parliament now. We understand a related development has come up there. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has joined us live. Joseph, brief us on what has transpired in Parliament. We'll soon take you to Parliament to get those updates there. But before that, the Electoral Commission has identified 349 polling station flashpoints in the Upper West region. The Wa Central constituency is leading the pack with 50 flashpoints. This was revealed by Deputy Upper West Director of the Commission, Mr. Emmanuel Che. It came up at the launch of the Upper West Regional Agent for Peace campaign in Wa.
Deputy Upper West Regional Director of the Electoral Commission, Emmanuel Che, disclosed that this year's election will be better organized than the 2016 general election, considering the measures put in place by the EC. He said all names that were missing during the exhibition of the voters register have now been retrieved, and prospective voters need not to worry on polling day.
Though there was initial challenge of omissions of some voters' names from the voters register, the problem has been rectified, and all those who qualify and registered have their names, their omitted names, restored onto the voters register. The problem came about as a result of what? Transmission of data from our registration centers up to the national level. We realized that those officials that we recruited, some of them misused the pen drive that were to use to transfer the information to IT department. But since we have another means of retrieving all this data, that's what we call end-of-life method.
Mr. Che further revealed that the EC has discovered 349 polling station flashpoints in the region and has forwarded the list to the Ghana Police Service for the necessary action.
We have identified all flashpoints and we have submitted the list to Agyapa through our head office, and we are still monitoring to detect if there will be any additional flashpoints or volatile centers that will be given to update the list of flashpoints that has already been submitted.
Upper West Regional Commander of the Ghana Police Service, DCOP Francis Abojunyako, spoke of plans by the security services, especially the police, to ensure that the 2020 polls is conducted in a peaceful and orderly manner.
The assurance is that you can even observe for yourself the relative peace that we are enjoying in this dear region. This is a clear testimony that the security agencies are well prepared to police the system before, during, and after December 7th. We put in strategic measures seriously with other sister security agencies, and these measures have been able to seal all the leakages in the system.
Upper West Regional Chairman of the Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Aloysius Nuolabong, called on Ghanaians to fight against ethnocentrism and promote inclusive democracy.
We are all Ghanaians. Ghana belongs to no one. No tribe is born to rule Ghana. No Ghanaian is a foreigner. No tribe is better than the other. Let's fight against ethnocentrism and promote an inclusive democracy. We must include all in our better Ghana agenda. We must include all in the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda.
The regional launch of the 2020 Agent of Peace campaign by the Church of Pentecost is held on the theme Seek Peace and Pursue It. Apostle Damon Tetaki is the Wa area head of the Church of Pentecost.
All we are yelling for, all we are crying for, and all we are yearning for is a peaceful and smooth general elections before, during, and after.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam.
Now, over 1,400 students have qualified for legal education at the country's premier law school, the Ghana School of Law at Mokola. More than 2,000 students, sat for this year's law school entrance exam. The passes from this year is about 8 times the number who made it last year. Leadership of the National Association of Law Students NALS have described this year's results as progressive and commendable, but believes there is still room for improvement. Legal education in Ghana has been in the news often lately due to the mass failures recorded in the entrance exams in previous years. The discussion has largely centered on the need to expand the system to enable more aspiring students to gain access. There's been a number of protests by students for General Legal Counsel to review the scope and approach to training of lawyers. The latest development so far seems to show a bit of hope at the end of the tunnel following those calls. This also means the country stands the chance of augmenting its legal profession's numbers to meet the demands of the citizenry. We'll be telling you more on this development, but in the meantime, let's look at some of your comments on social media on this development. Right, so here's an extract from a post from lawyer and Professor Stephen Kwekwasare. He uses his name Kwekwazai. He says here, 1,045 out of 2,720 is significantly better than 128 out of 1,820, but significantly short of our goal to allow anyone with a law degree to be given the opportunity to take the qualifying certificate of examination. This also proves that 128 out of 1,820 was a bona fide scam and shame. It denies 1,675 LLB holders a mere opportunity to take the QCE. This is not progress. Our job is not done until we totally and utterly dismantle the monopoly in the provision of the professional course consistent with Article 25(2). Right, it's attracting a number of comments. Koi Suman, who works in the presidency, says, so will your phrase now change? 1,045 out of 2,720 is progress. And he replies by saying, how can denying 1,675 the opportunity to sit for the qualifying certificate of examination be called progress? Kofi Ofosun Cancer says, small, we shall get there better than last year. Mauli says, Mahama pressure every year should be an election year. I'm sure you want to say. So they were failing innocent students for nothing. Let's hear some thoughts of some law students on the new developments. Mama V also Abwaje spoke to them.
One fear for many law students is that you would pass through 4 years of legal education and then be denied the opportunity to take the professional course. And we often ask ourselves the question that, what are we going to do with, the degree? So it is good news. However, even though the pass rate is up by 23%, it is still indicative that there exists a problem. And the problem is there are still people who would not enter. And by virtue of that, people still fail, and there is a chance that people will fail. So it's good news, yes, it ought to be celebrated, yes, that's true, but there is more that ought to be done.
Let me come to you, Philemon, because you fought through this, and I wonder how you see this. Is this victory? Is this still work in progress?
Right, Mama V, first of all, I think this is a victory we take with some bit of caution. Caution because the reforms we ask for are sweeping. The reforms we ask for is not a 1-year admission of 1,045 students. We're asking for an overhaul, not an overhaul per se, but a general reform in legal education. You'll recall that students have engaged robustly over the years to make sure that the reforms are seen in the Ghana School of Law and for those who want to enter the Ghana School of Law. So this is just one part of what we've been calling for. And as much as we are thankful for it, our position remains that reforms must be across board.
Well, let's just quickly go over some of these reforms again. Are you calling for no entrance exam at all?
We're asking that every LLB person be given the opportunity to partake in the professional law course at the Ghana School of Law. That is our position. We do not understand that a system should exist for people to have LLB degrees and be denied the opportunity to go on to become lawyers. Statistically, we have very few lawyers in this country. We have retreated, and those in power have said over and over again that the Attorney General's Department, which is the highest employer of lawyers in this country, is limited in the number of lawyers it has. Go into the regions, Upper East, Upper West, Northern Region, Northeast. Go down and see the Attorney General's Department is seriously understaffed. It is a police service that is playing the complementary role of prosecuting on behalf of the state. So already there's a problem. There's the need for lawyers. All lawyers are mainly, Accra alone is just made up of about 80% of lawyers in this country. Go into the regions, there are no lawyers. Access to justice is a problem. So we think that the legal profession should be opened up such that people that have LLBs are able to pursue and achieve their career ambition of becoming lawyers.
Just hold it there for me, Philemon. Let me bring Prosper into this conversation.
From where I come from, University of Ghana, I think quite a number of people made it. I dare say almost the entire class, but just a few. But people are genuinely elated, people are delighted. I think the efforts and the input that stakeholders have been making over the last year have sort of yielded some results. So this is something that people really clap hands for.
Now, Chairman of the Civil Society Platform on Oil and Gas, Dr. Steve Mantiao, is encouraging the special prosecutor to look into allegations of nepotism when investigating the controversial Agyapa royalties agreement. Dr. Mantiao is particularly interested in the appointment of directors and legal advisors for the company. His comments comes after the Ministry of Finance officially suspended the floating of the company's shares after Martin Amidu requested to look into the deal to ascertain if any corruption is involved. Though Dr. Mantiao believes the issue surrounding this deal is wider than the scope of Mr. Amidu, he has taken a keen interest in the process. He spoke to me on Prime Morning on Joy Prime TV.
Issues that have been raised up for me border on corruption or corruption risk include the manner of appointment of the directors of the company. Of course, concerns have been raised about what seems like cronyism, nepotism, and all that. Again, the process itself appears to have been opaque. Again, the manner of appointment of the legal advisors also raises some concerns. The concerns border on, again, nepotism, but also the fact that the process was not very open. Concerns have been raised about the registration of Agyapa itself in the tax haven and all that. So there are so many issues in terms of the concerns raised by citizens, and I'm not too sure which of them the special prosecutor will be interested in investigating.
Does this put the matter to bed for you, Dr. Mantiao?
Not at all, not at all. We actually recognize that not all the issues of concern to us as citizens will be addressed by the investigation of the special prosecutor. In particular, there are issues bordering on the basis of the valuation of our royalties for the purpose of this transaction. There are also concerns about the choice of this model.
Now, government says there's no other time to appreciate teachers than the present during the COVID-19 period that the country finds itself in. Now, according to the Education Minister, the pandemic has revealed how precious and impactful teachers are in the socio-economic development of the country. Speaking as the Ghana Teacher Prize Day celebration in Cape Coast that saw the award of the National Best Teachers, Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh said parents are at their wits' end, not knowing what to do with their kids. As a result of the shutdown of schools, he reveals government will do its best to honor and appreciate teachers, not only with awards, but also by improving the conditions of teachers. Richard Kojonyako has more.
Into the delight of teachers. He says the COVID-19 pandemic has really made a bold statement for teachers across the globe, especially teachers in Ghana.
So we don't believe that your rewards are in heaven because Christ came to dwell amongst us. And so we believe that your rewards are both here on earth and in heaven when you meet your Maker. One of the realities of COVID-19 has drawn our minds to the role of our teachers in our lives and the lives of our children. With the long period that school has been out due to COVID-19, many parents are at their wits' end about what to do with these active children all day at home. Some even complain that the children eat too much. If there is any time to better appreciate our teachers as a nation, it is now. My dear teachers, we can never repay the debt we owe you, but we have a duty to try and make life better for you.
Central Regional Minister Kwame Nadankan, who read a speech on behalf of the president, paid a glowing tribute to teachers in the country. He indicates government will do its best to honor and appreciate teachers in a better way.
Beyond praising our teachers for their valor and dedication and the important role they play in our national life, it is important that this reflects in how we treat them. Teaching must no longer be seen as a stopgap measure or a job of last resort, but as a viable choice to enter a well-paid, well-respected profession with long-term career prospects and good benefits. That is why government, through the Ministry of Education and its agencies, with support from Friends of Ghana, is collaborating with Norwegian Teacher Initiative to develop a comprehensive teacher policy. This project has established the Ghana Teacher Task Force, which oversees the development of the comprehensive teacher policy for Ghana. The welfare, conditions of service, professional growth of teachers, and everything needed to support the Ghanaian teacher to compete with their counterparts from across the world have been factored into this policy.
President of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, Philippa Larson, called on the other teacher unions to be motivated by COVID-19 to enable them learn from each other by cooperating with key stakeholders to mitigate the effects of the pandemic on education delivery in Ghana.
The able manner in which the government planned to ensure that the BECE and WASI candidates wrote their exit examinations cannot go without commendation. We are sad to know that up till this day, we still have some teachers who have not been paid their legacy arrears. This unfortunate development is affecting the morale of teachers in the service, and we call on the GES to expedite action to get the affected teachers paid immediately.
The overall best national teacher for 2020, Eric Asumani Asante, who received a 3-bedroom house, urged his colleagues to impact society wherever they find themselves.
I knew I had done a lot as a teacher who could donate 50 computers to my alma mater school, a projector, 600 textbooks I have authored for the past 10 years with NACA approval. I knew I was on top of my colleagues and I could win. Whatever that we are doing, we should do it sincerely, because one day we will be awarded. It doesn't matter where you are located, even in the village, one day you will be awarded accordingly.
Second runner-up, Gloria Enima Jr. told a touching story of how being a teacher in a rural community in Ghana is. She is urging her colleague teachers to accept postings to deprived communities and strive to do their best.
Gloria Enima Jr. being posted to a remote community for the past 13 years, been there, and today you saw me, I couldn't even open my car because I've not had a feel of a car. It's just motorbike. So I just thank God, and I'm happy for myself, and I know that many people are going to also follow suit and work hard. It's not that you'll be anticipation of someday being rewarded, but as Doctor said, you'll be rewarded on earth and you'll also be rewarded in heaven.
The Ghana Education Service Council automatically promoted 7 teachers who had awards in last year's Ghana Teacher Prize. Richard Kwejenyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Congratulations to all winners. And traffic congestion and floods around the Obeche-Bilamte Interchange will soon be a thing of the past, as contractors on site say they are on course to complete the first phase of the project by the end of November 2020. Progress of work on the $135 million interchange was slightly curtailed by the COVID-19 pandemic as delivery of supplies for the project delayed due to the closure of borders. But with new day and night working schedules, contractor QGMI Spain hopes to deliver the first phase of the three-tier project, which has a flyover connecting traffic from Kaneshie to the Graphic Road, just a few weeks after its initial deadline. My colleague Manuel Kranting has been interacting with the workers.
So I'm standing on the Crash Rock base, the exit of the first phase of the Obechebi Lamte interchange. Now, this flyover, as you would see shortly, connects folks who are moving to and fro the Graphic Road and the Kaneshie area, so the Winneba Accra Highway. And this is about, I'm told, 169 meters. And it's the first phase of the project, which is costing about $135 million US. This phase cost $35 million US and was started in November 2019. Was on course to be completed in November 2020, but for the unfortunate advent of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm here trying to, wrap my head around the project and its complexities and how, for instance, its completion will lead to the easing of congestion of traffic flow, as you can see behind me, on this stretch. And so I'm going to talk to the resident engineer here, Engineer Owusu Setre Entry. He's a resident engineer in charge of consultancy, and his company is Fast Consultants, and they are in charge of the consultancy for this particular project, the very first phase. I'm going to talk to him to get some updates and, if you like, details on this project and why it's even useful. Thank you, engineer. Thanks so much for speaking.
You're welcome.
Great. So tell me about, I went to Accra Academy just right here, and so I'm not new to this stretch, but this is a major facelift for the road. Tell us the details.
As you said, right, thank you. The project is in two phases.
Okay.
Phase one is the bridge from the Graphic Road towards Kaneshie. That's phase one. Phase two will be the bridge from the Circle Road to the Mochi Road. That's phase two. But currently we are working on phase one. Okay. And phase one is 35 million, as I said earlier. Right. Now the phase one has the bridge, a total length of 169 meters. Right. The bridge has reinforced concrete columns, piers we call them, with abutments, and the superstructure is made up of steel with concrete deck and asphaltic surface running. Basically that's what it is.
Okay, great. So that's 169 meters and it's supposed to link Graphic Road to Kaneshie. But what are some of the ancillary facilities that are coming with, apart from the flyover on phase two? What else do we have?
Right, under phase one, what we've done is we've improved the capacity of the underground storm drain around the area. That's, you look at the Hyundai showroom there. Yeah, there's a storm drain there. We've improved its capacity. And then
by improving its capacity, you mean what? You've expanded it?
Yeah, what it means is that it can take more water now than it used to take. Now, the other thing we've done is that the water from the Kaneshie side turned 90 degrees into the Odo River, the Odo Channel. Now, what we've done is we eliminated the 90 degrees and put in a curve, a smooth curve. So the water flows in a smooth curve into the Odo Channel. And this also improves the flow of the river.
At 90 degrees, that was too much pressure and you had spillover.
Well, at 90 degrees, of course, water will always want to move smoothly. So at 90 degrees, you always have this backflow in there. And it also, what do you call it, the upstream people will always be having flooding. Okay. But with a smooth curve, the water will flow smoothly.
That's a major contribution to the floods that we saw there.
Yes, it's a major contributing factor. And as I said, we've also improved the capacity of the underground storm drain. Yeah.
Okay. And so what are we looking at? Maybe for you, we'll just try and turn around so that you are able to have a glimpse of the beams that they are laying and the reinforced concrete. These are steel beams, right?
That's correct. They are steel girders. Yeah, steel beams, right.
Okay, so what are they supposed to do? What are we looking at?
Now, currently, what we have the steel beams or the steel girders. We're going to put precast concrete slabs on them. We're going to put precast concrete slabs on them. The precast concrete have already been done. They are currently in the contractor's yard.
Okay.
Now put the precast concrete slabs on them, put reinforcement on the precast concrete slabs, and then put concrete on them.
Okay. Okay.
So that's just
okay.
So live on Joy News today, let's take you back to Parliament, where members of Parliament have exited the chamber because they want to file their nomination forms to run in the election in just a few weeks. Joseph Opoku-Gakpo has joined us. The house must be empty now, Joseph.
It all started after
Right, Joseph, what's the situation in the house?
Daniel, can you hear me?
Right, I can.
Daniel, can you hear me?
Joseph, please go ahead.
So the sitting began about 3 minutes ago. Speaker Professor Kukwe is saying, I attempted something. There aren't more than 35 MPs in the House as we speak. The indication being that a lot of them are dealing with issues right in their constituency, which is what is making it impossible for them to actually come around to the Chamber of Parliament. I've been speaking, for example, to the MP for Ataklu, Kwame Abuja, who makes the point that the House shouldn't have resumed sitting today in the light of the ongoing filing exercises as far as those who are seeking to contest going into the next elections are concerned, and that just maybe this sitting should have begun on Thursday or thereafter, when a lot of them may have gone through the processes in terms of filing their nominations. But the agenda of the House has actually been put across. It's expected that the majority leader will be delivering a business statement to actually lay out what the House will be doing over the next 4 to 6 weeks, after which it's expected that the House will be dealing with a number of things, including the Ghana Armed Forces Regulations Amendment Bill 2020 and also the Ghana Police Service Amendment Regulations Bill 2020. So we're waiting for that to unfold in the next few minutes.
Right, Joseph, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon with those interesting updates from the House. You're live on Joy News today. Up next is sports.